Okay, so let's start, no? So, during the early times, no, class, in the early times or in the beginning of times, no, in the earliest civilization, walang calendar. There are no calendars and there are no clocks, no? And there are no clocks or there are no watch. But the question is, palagay nyo, without any calendar or without any watch or any clock, paano natatrack yung time during those days? Kasi if you would observe during those days, even though they don't have any calendar, any even though no wala silang calendar or wala silang clock, they are able to identify the time of the day, no, the time when to do this, when to do that, the time when to harvest kasi may mga specific period sa isang taon, no, na pwede ka lang mag-harvest, pwede ka lang mag-plant. That's the question, eh, paano, how do they know, no? What are the source of their information regarding time and date? Kasi during those time, there are no standard calendar yet. Wala rin tayong clocks, no? Wala rin tayong mga watch. Eh, paano nila nata-track yung date and time? Palagay nyo, do you have idea? Do you have idea, class? You talk, wag mag-chat. Any idea? Sige, let's try to have someone speak, no? Sige, Princess, very good. Do you have idea, Nak?
Sa mga stars po.
Actually, Nak, you are correct, no? That is one source, no? That is one source of their information. Actually, they actually look at the position of the stars or the star itself to determine the date, no? The date of the year or the season of the year. Now, aside from the stars, ano pa kaya? Sige, Sam.
Yung paggalaw po ng sun.
Correct. The movement of the sun. No, they also look at the movement of the sun to know whether it's night or day, whether what time is it, no? Meron nga sa England, meron silang nakuha ng artifacts, yung tatawag natin Stonehenge, no? Yung Stonehenge na yun, they believe that these are ancient clocks kung saan itong ancient clocks na to, ginagamit niya yung sun, yung movement ng sun to cast a shadow sa Stonehenge so that they can determine what time of the day is it already, no? So, if you would see, no, most of the early people or the early civilization, they actually use the objects in the sky. Ginagamit nila yung mga objects sa sky, class. Again, the early civilization, no, usually uses the objects in the sky to track time and date. And actually, hindi lang time and date yung track nila using the sky, no, using the day sky and the night sky. They also track locations, no. Nagtatrack sila ng location using the objects in the sky, di ba? How do they know na nasa north ka? How do they know na nasa south ka? They actually use a specific star. To be specific, alam nilang nasa north ka if you can see the Polaris, no? Yung tawag natin Polaris, which is the northernmost star. And alam nilang nasa south ka if you are facing the southern cross, no? Or yung crux na tinatawag natin. So, with the use of the sky or with the use of the object of the sky, people are able to determine the time and location. And that is why, no, in our first lesson here in Earth Science, I will be introducing you to celestial navigation and timekeeping, which technically means the use of the objects in the sky to determine time and location. So let us start with the celestial sphere, no, and the celestial coordinates. Now, yung early Greeks class, naniniwala sila that the Earth is the center of the universe. Again, the early Greeks class believed na yung planet Earth ang center ng universe. So since they believed na yung planet Earth ang center ng universe, they actually believe in what we call as the celestial sphere model. And on your screen class, yung nasa screen ninyo, yan yung tinatawag nating celestial sphere model. Now, what do you observe about the celestial sphere model? So sa celestial sphere model, it is believed there that the Earth is the center of the universe. Thus, it is what we call as a geocentric model. Tinatawag siya class sa geocentric model kasi in this kind of model, Earth is the center of the universe. And around Earth, no? Around Earth are the different objects found in the sky, no? The stars, the sun, the moon, and other celestial objects. So technically, meron tayong Earth sa gitna ng isang celestial sphere. We have an Earth in the middle of a celestial sphere, and that is what we call as the celestial sphere model. And on the screen, so if you could see, we have the Earth in the center of the model, and around the Earth, there is what we call as a celestial sphere. And they actually believe that. Yun yung pinaniniwalaan nila. And why do you think they believe that? Okay, it's actually due to the fact na if you are on Earth, kung nasa Earth ka, you would see that the objects in the sky are moving. Alam na natin today, we already know today that this is actually wrong. No? The objects in the sky are actually not moving. Sino talagang gumagalaw? Jalen, sino kaya talagang gumagalaw?
Yung Earth po.
Oh yes, you are correct. It's actually us who are moving, no? It's not the objects in the sky, it's not the star, it's not the sun, but it is actually us who is moving relative to those celestial objects. But during that time, it is easy to infer kasi wala pa silang technologies eh. No, they don't have the necessary technologies to observe the sky or what is beyond no planet Earth. So what do they know based on their observation is that all the objects in the sky such as the sun, the moon, the stars are moving around the earth. And that is why they devise a celestial sphere no kung saan nandun naka-embed. In the celestial sphere, it is where the objects in the sky are embedded, and in the middle of the sphere is our planet, no? Is planet Earth, and that is what you call as a celestial sphere model, in which this is a geocentric model, in which class the earth is the center of the celestial sphere class, in which the stars, the moon, and other celestial objects are found. So yun yung tinatawag nating celestial sphere model. So if you would see here, no, ito yung planet Earth at the center of the celestial sphere. Ito yung celestial sphere natin. And lahat ng objects sa sky, including the sun, the stars, are found in the celestial sphere. Okay, yun nga tulad ng sabi ko sa inyo, they devised that model kasi ito yung nakikita nila. This is what your early people see. No? If you look at the sky, you see the celestial objects, and it is easy to infer na yung planet Earth, it is in the middle of a celestial sphere. It is in the middle of the universe where the objects, no, where the objects or the celestial objects are embedded or are found. Okay, anyways class, now no, alam na natin that this model is wrong. Today class, we already know that this celestial sphere model is incorrect kasi we already know that instead of the star and the sun, sorry, instead of the star and the sun moving relative to the earth, it is actually the earth that is moving relative to the stars and the sun. Meaning class, we already know that this is an incorrect model. And most of the model today class is not earth centered. Now, today also class, kung dati class, what we know is that we have the earth which is surrounded by a celestial sphere, no? Today class, we already know na tong celestial sphere natin, actually, today hindi na siya tinatawag na celestial sphere kasi this is already discarded. What we know about our sky, no? Tawag natin celestial sky. Yung celestial sky natin, no, it can be divided into several regions, no? At anong tawag sa regions na yon? Anong tawag sa regions na yon kung saan it is a division, no? It is a segment or a division of the celestial sky. Tinatawag yun class na constellations. Those are what you call as constellation. Do not be confused with the term constellation. Kasi kala nyo class, pag sinabi natin constellation, ito yung star pattern. That is wrong. Constellation are the segments or the divisions of the sky. And tulad nung nakikita nyo dito, the sky is divided into many segments. Again, the sky is divided into many segments. At ang tawag natin sa segment of the sky, tinatawag yon na constellation. And do you think how many constellations do we have class? Ilan kaya constellations natin? How many constellations do we have? Any idea? How many constellations do we have in the sky? Sean, do you have idea? Sean, how many constellations do we have?
12, sir?
12 lang ba? Do we have only 12? Kasi 12 zodiac sign, no? Actually, we have 88 constellations. If you would count all the segments here, ito yung celestial sky, and I shown you how the celestial sky is divided into constellations. If you count all the segments there, that would count to 88. There are actually 88 constellations, or there are 88 segments of the celestial sky. So sir, kung ang constellation pala ay segment lang ng celestial sky, ano yung star pattern na nakikita natin kung hindi yun constellation? Actually, your star patterns are what we call as asterisms. Yan, yung star pattern natin class, yan yung tinatawag nating asterism. So do not be confused with the two terms. So when we are speaking of constellation, we are speaking of the division or the segmentation of your celestial sky. It is different from asterism kasi yung asterism, yung tinatawag yung star patterns. That is what you actually call as your star pattern. Don't be confused with that. Okay, the question is, kung mali pala tong model na to, if the celestial sphere model is wrong, why do we need to study that? Palagay nyo, why do we need to study the celestial sphere if this is already wrong? Why not study na lang the modern models of the universe? Why do we need to spend, actually we will spend some time, no? We will spend 2 weeks studying the celestial sphere model. The question is why? Palagay nyo bakit? Why do we need to study this one? Samantha Cruz, bakit kaya aaralin natin itong model na to? Why do we need to study this model?
Para po mas malaman pa yung time ng and location po.
Palagay mo, although this is a wrong model, ginagamit pa kaya natin itong celestial sphere model na to? Ginagamit pa rin kaya
Opo.
natin to? Yes, actually
Opo.
ginagamit pa rin natin. Although this is a discarded model for the representation of the universe. Kasi dati it's a representation of the universe. Eh. Pero today, it is not used as a representation of universe. Pero it is used as what? Sinabi mo sa akin yun, Sam. Ginagamit siya ngayon para saan? It is now used as a model to determine what? To determine
Location,
location
time po.
and time. So for us to really have an understanding on the location and time, no, or yung tatawag nating timekeeping, we must understand the celestial sphere model. Okay, so I will show you a celestial sphere model and we will define some important terms. So unahin natin to. Ito muna. So eto class, tawag dito sky. Ulitin ko ha, this is what you call as the sky or the celestial sky. We are now discussing the celestial sphere model ha, at yung parts niya. So ulitin ko ha class ha, itong part na to, this is what you call as the sky. Let me repeat myself, this is what you call as the sky. This is what we call celestial sky. Ngayon, tong line na to kung saan magmi-meet yung land or yung earth na tinatawag natin, yung line na to kung saan magmi-meet yung earth at yung sky, tawag dyan ay horizon. Ito, tawag dito ay horizon. If you would see, tong line na to, yung trine-trace ko, itong line na trine-trace ko kung saan nag-meet yung earth and celestial sky, tinatawag yan na horizon. Let me repeat again. That is what you call as horizon. Now, obviously, this is your observer, and I think this is the two important things that you must know about this orientation of the celestial sphere model. So, usually when we draw the celestial sphere model, ito si North, Do not be confused with the actual north. It's just a representation. So dito natin usually linalagay si north, then dito si south, dito si east, dito si west. Sir, pwede ba namin pagbaliktarin? Yes. It's just an orientation. So you can sometimes draw, no, you can sometimes draw the east here and west here. You can sometimes draw north and south here. Pero most of the time we use this orientation, no, so that we will be uniform with each other. This will be the north, this will be the south, this would be the east, this would be the west. Did I forget something about there? Wala naman. Okay. Now, so ulitin ko ito, tawag dito. What do we call this one, Clyde? Clyde ba Kelvin? Kelvin. What do we call this one?
Horizon, sir.
Horizon, correct. Okay. So Kelvin, ito, what do we call this one? Ito yung ating
Sky.
sky. Correct? So ngayon, 'di ba, tulad ng sabi ko, this is observer. Ito tatandaan mo, Kelvin and the others, 'di ba? So, sa taas ng observer, directly above the observer, may tinatawag tayong zenith. Again, directly above the observer, we have what we call as zenith, and directly below the observer, kung meron tayong zenith sa taas, sa ilalim meron tayong nadir. We have what we call as nadir, and this is the spelling so that you will not be confused. This is the spelling of nadir. So directly above the observer, we have the zenith, and directly below the observer, we have the nadir. Okay, do you follow? Okay. Thank you, Kelvin. Okay, now, let us look at this orientation naman. Kanina, I'm showing you different orientation. So this is another orientation that is very important. No? Okay. Now, dito sa gitna, kunyari, ito yung Earth, no? Geocentric yung representation natin. Kanina kasi, we are representing the land of the Earth. Ngayon now, we are representing here the Earth na mismo as the middle or as the center of your celestial sphere. Now, in this kind of representation, yung nasa gitna, tulad lang ng globe ninyo, ang nasa gitna niyan, that is what we call as the celestial equator. Let me repeat myself. It is what we call as the celestial equator. Now, kung meron tayong prime meridian sa globe, meron din tayong celestial meridian dito sa middle. So obviously, the celestial equator will divide the celestial sphere into north and south. So dito, we have the north celestial pole, and sa baba, we have the south celestial pole. Do you follow? Ulitin ko Itong celestial equator will divide the celestial sphere into two, and dahil dyan, may tayong North Celestial Pole sa taas at South Celestial Pole sa ilalim. Keep this in mind. Ang North Celestial Pole, or tinatawag natin NCP, it is usually represented by positive degrees. Ulitin ko ang North Celestial Pole or NCP, it is usually represented by a positive degree. So we have the positive 90, positive 75, positive 60, positive 45, positive 30, and 0 degree ang celestial equator. So keep this in mind, the celestial equator will be at 0 degrees. So ngayon, kung kanina positive nung nasa north, kayong nasa south tayo, yung nasa south tayo, we have negative 30, negative 45, negative 60, negative 75, and sa dulo, negative 90 degrees. So sa pinakataas, sa North Pole, that is positive 90 degrees. Sa South Pole, that is negative 90 degrees. Do you follow? Do you follow, class? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
okay. I hope you're taking down notes. No? Now, okay, so dito, di ba tulad ng sabi ko sa inyo, this is the celestial meridian. Ngayon, yung celestial meridian, it will divide your celestial sphere into west sorry, baliktad ako, into east and west. Again, it will divide your celestial sphere into east and west. So, ito, 0, sorry. So, this will be positive 10, positive 20, positive 30, positive 40, until positive 180 sa east. So, pag east, positive. Pag west naman, it would be negative, negative 10, negative 20, negative 30, negative 40, until negative 180 degrees. Okay, do you follow? Now, if we are going to go back here, itong part na to ng sky, this is actually your meridian. It actually represent your meridian. Kasi itong representation na to, naka-side view siya. Kasi tingnan niyo, if you would observe, this is north, then this is south. So meaning, this line would run from north to south. Kaya nga kung titignan nyo dito, when a line is running from north to south, that would be actually your celestial meridian. Again, when it runs from north to south, ayan o, if you would see here, the celestial meridian is running from north to south. So meaning that is your meridian here sa model na to. A line running from north to south. Okay, do you have any more questions? Before I proceed, do you have questions, class?
Yan, sir.
Is everything clear? Sige, try natin, no? Bago tayo mag-proceed, no? Do I have here? I would check, ah. Ah, sorry. Wala pala dito. So, anyways, let's continue na lang. So, anyways, I forgot to tell you. Okay, may nakikita kayo line dito na nakatilt, tama? You see a line here na nakatilt. Okay. Tawag dito sa line na nakatilt na yan, that is actually what you call as the ecliptic. No? Yan yung tinatawag yung class na ecliptic. Now, sir, ano yung ecliptic na yan? So, class, when we are speaking of ecliptic, ito yung 'di ba, class? So, if you would remember, tong celestial sphere model na to, it was created due to the belief that the sun and the stars are moving around Earth. So, tong ecliptic na yan, yan yung pinaniniwalaan ng early Greeks as the pathway of the sun. Siya yung pinaniniwalaan ng mga early Greeks na pathway ng sun. So, yung line na yan, yung tilted line na yan, if you would see, it's revolving around the earth. And this tilted line that seems to revolve around the earth, tinatawag yun na ecliptic. And this is actually the proposed pathway of the sun around the earth when the celestial sphere model is proposed by the early Greeks. And you know na, no? You know na by fact, no, na this is entirely false. Di siya true. Kasi it's actually the earth who revolves around the sun instead of the sun revolving around the earth. Now, anyways, anong degrees nakatilt tong ecliptic na to? Keep this in mind. This is a very important fact, no? Okay. Ang ating ecliptic ay nakatilt at 23.5 degrees. Now, may question ako before we proceed. So, we already know na hindi talaga yung sun ang nagre-revolve around Earth. Instead, it is the Earth who is revolving around the sun. So, meaning, this ecliptic, this tilted line is only imaginary. No, kasi ang nakikita natin is the apparent motion. Pag sinabi yung apparent motion of the sun, no, meaning nun, yung paggalaw ng sun sa sky, which is in reality, hindi naman talaga gumagalaw yung sun kasi it is actually us who is moving and not the sun itself. Now, may tanong ako, bakit nakatilt yung ecliptic or yung pathway ng sun sa celestial sphere? How can it be explained by the modern model of the revolution of Earth around the sun? Paano natin kaya ma-explain to? Kung matatandaan ninyo, if you would look back here, no? If you are going to look back here, nakatilt yung ecliptic, meaning it is believed na noon no, nung ginawa to celestial sphere model na to, that yung pathway or yung dinadaanan ng sun is nakatilt at 23.5 degrees. Now, in the modern model, no, in the modern model today, alam na natin that the Earth is the one who's revolving around the sun. At ano ang magi-explain bakit naka-tilt tong ecliptic na to? Why is the pathway tilted? Anybody? Based on the modern model, no, that we have today. Ba't kaya naka-tilt tong ecliptic na to? Any idea? Sean, do you have idea? Sean,
No, sir.
do you have idea? Bakit kaya naka-tilt yung pathway? Do you have idea why the pathway is tilted? Sean?
No, sir.
Wala? Okay, what about you, Princess? Do you have idea?
Hindi po siya idea pero parang may relationship po siya dun sa globe. Kasi po yung sa globe po nakatilt din po.
Okay, may tanong ako, nakatilt ba ang planet Earth, Princess? Actually, hindi globe. Let's speak of the Earth kasi globe is just a representation of the Earth. So we are speaking of the Earth itself, no? Ano bang planet Earth? Is the Earth tilted?
Base po sa alala ko, opo.
Yes, actually you are correct na. Actually, the Earth is tilted and accidentally, no, we already know this by fact, no, by experimental evidences. We already know that the Earth is tilted at 23.5 degrees. Okay, meaning plus, nakatilt yung planet Earth, nakatilt yung planet Earth, wait lang, I would show you. For example, ito yung planet Earth, dahil nakatilt siya at 23.5 degrees, pag nagre-revolve siya around the sun, it seems like na yung dinadaanan ng sun, no, it seems like yung dinadaanan ng sun, dinadaanan ng sun in our sky or in our celestial sky is also tilted at 23.5 degrees. It is due to the fact, you are correct, Princess, that the planet Earth itself is tilted. Again, the planet Earth itself is tilted at 23.5 degrees. Okay? Do we understand each other, class? Naintindihan ng lahat? Grade 11, did you understand?
Yes po.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Shall I proceed? No? So, okay. Now, class, you already understood our celestial sphere. I think we are now tuloy, no? We are now moving to what we call as celestial coordinates. No? Tatawag natin celestial coordinate system. Meron tayong klase na tawag na celestial coordinate system. Actually, dalawang system yan. To be exact, tatlo siya. Pero we will not deal with the third system, no, yung galactic system na tinatawag natin. We will only deal with the two celestial coordinate system. No? We will focus first on what we call as a declination. Again, we will focus first on the declination, right ascension system. Again, so these are the two kinds of celestial coordinate system. Yung una, yung tinatawag nating declination, right ascension system. At yung pangalawa, yung tinatawag nating altitude azimuth system. So these are the two celestial coordinate system that we can use to describe or to locate the objects in the sky. Okay, tatandaan ninyo, itong mga coordinate system na to or itong mga celestial coordinate system na to, ginagamit natin yan to locate object in the sky. Let me repeat myself, itong celestial coordinate system na to, ginagamit natin yan to locate objects in the sky. No? And there are two systems that we can use to locate object in the sky. Okay, and these two system would be the following. First, yung tatawag nating right ascension and declination system. At yung pangalawa, yung tinatawag nating altitude azimuth system. Okay, para mas maintindihan ninyo, we can compare it to longitude and latitude. Alam niyo yung longitude and latitude, class? Do you know a longitude and latitude? Class, I'm asking a simple question. Do you know longitudes and latitudes? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Diba? You know longitude and latitude. Saan tayo nakakita ng mga longitude and latitudes? We actually see them in
Globe.
globes or map. Para saan sila, Jalen? Where do you use longitude and latitude?
Um,
Saan mo ginagamit yung longitude and latitude? Clyde.
to measure the sky.
Hindi, longitude and latitude tayo, ha. We're not talking about the sky here. We're talking about longitude and latitude. And you all know na tong mga longitude or lines of longitude and latitude, we actually see them in globes and maps. Para saan sila, Sam?
Para po ma-identify kung saan yung exact location
Okay, you use
sa
it for
mission.
locating places, di ba? Ginagamit natin yung longitude or longitude latitude system to locate no places or locations in planet Earth. Ganun din yung celestial coordinate system. Itong mga celestial coordinate system na to, ginagamit natin to locate objects in the sky, and that is why it is very important to study it so that we can know the location of different objects in the sky. So unahin natin yung medyo mas madali. Okay, let us take first, no, yung tinatawag nating declination and right ascension. Let's take first declination and right ascension. Okay, so if you would see here, kinokumpara ko dito yung globe and celestial sphere. Ulitin ko, ha, if you would see here, I am comparing here the globe and the celestial sphere. Okay, ang globe natin may longitude at latitude. Sige nga, anong tawag dito sa horizontal line, Sam? Anong horizontal line? Longitude or latitude? Sam, itong mga horizontal line na to, is this a longitude or a latitude, Sam?
Sir, latitude.
Okay, correct. No, yung horizontal line na to are latitude. So, these horizontal lines, including the equator here, are latitudes. E paano yung mga vertical lines, Sam? Yung mga vertical line,
Longitude.
ha? Longitude. Now, in the celestial sphere, meron siyang katumbas. So, ito yung katumbas niya, no? Ang katumbas ng latitude, class, is yung tinatawag yung declination. No? Ang latitude, class, is equivalent to declination, and usually it is represented by the symbol beta. Alam niyo itsura ng beta, class? Do you know the symbol beta? Okay, I would show an illustration kung ano yung itsura ng beta. Siguro through the video na lang. So, ito yung itsura niya, class. Sorry, hindi nakikita. Tanggalin muna natin yung background, no? So, ito, nakikita, okay, baliktad, no? Paano kaya? Saglit lang, ha, I will rewrite it. Okay, ayan. This is beta. Maayos sa inyo. Okay, sorry. This is beta. That is the symbol actually of declination o yung beta na tinatawag natin. Okay? Do you understand? At yung declination na yan, class, this declination, it is equivalent to your latitude. Again, your declination is equivalent to your latitude. Now, kung ang latitude is equivalent to declination, ang longitude naman, it is equivalent to your right ascension. Equivalent to your right ascension, it is actually represented by what we call as alpha, and this is how your alpha looks like. Ito. Yan. This is how your alpha looks like, no? Okay. So, okay. So, meaning class, no? Meaning class, just like the globe, no? Meron tayong mga lines of declination and lines of right ascension here in our celestial sphere model. Okay, so ito, if you would see, I am showing now a picture of your celestial sphere. So ito nga, tulad ng sabi ko, ayan, itong mga horizontal line is just like the latitude. It is called as declination. So kung titingnan nyo dito, pag north, positive, pag south, negative. So this is positive 20 declination. This is positive 40 declination. Positive 60 declination, positive 80 at yung North Pole or North Celestial Pole na tinatawag natin will be positive 90 declination. Sa South naman, this is negative 20, negative 40, negative 80, negative 90 degrees declination. Now class. Okay, punta tayo class dito sa right ascension, no? Okay, ito class, this is your celestial meridian, no? If you would see here in the middle, this is your celestial meridian, and usually, the difference pala, nakalimutan ko rin sabihin to kanina, ang declination, in your declination, it is usually used with a unit degrees. Ang right ascension ninyo, ang unit niya is not in degrees but instead it is in hours. Ulitin ko ang right, later on malalaman nyo bakit in hours kasi it is related to the time of the day. It will be related to the time of the day later on. Lalo na pag nag-discuss na tayo regarding the local side real time and the hour angle. So what do you need to know as of the moment is that pag declination, its unit is usually in degrees and pag right ascension, its unit is in hours. Kaya nga kung titignan nyo dito, the prime meridian is 0 hour. Ayan no. As you go to the east, ayan 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, paikot yan, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and so on and so forth. And pagdating dito, we have 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24. Okay, so that's the right ascension. Okay, so ito tatandaan nyo class. Yung right ascension and declination, it is also important for your seasons. Let me repeat myself. Yung declination at right ascension, it is also important for your seasons. Bakit? Okay, keep this in mind, no? That during summer, can you take note of this? This is very important. Although makakagamit kayo ng tatawag natin later ng analemma, and this analemma is actually a tool that you can use to determine the right ascension and declination of the sun during different season. Pero i-introduce ko muna sa inyo tong declination and right ascension during different season before we actually use what we call as the analemma. Okay, so let's go first to summer. Anyway, what are our four seasons? Recall nga tayo. Let's recall your grade 7. What's the four seasons? Sean, ano yung four seasons natin?
Summer, winter, spring, autumn.
Okay, correct. The summer, winter, spring, and autumn. Okay, so let's first take summer. Ang summer, ang declination niya is positive 23.5 degrees at ang kanyang right ascension, is 12 hours. Think ko ang summer, its declination is 23.5 degrees or positive 23.5 degrees at ang kanyang right ascension is 12 hours. If you're speaking of winter, ang declination niya is negative 23.5 at ang kanyang at ang kanyang wait lang. Bakit 12 hours ba? Wait lang 12 hours? No, 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 no. Let me correct this one. Let me correct summer. I'm so sorry, class. Okay, so let me correct summer. So ang summer, its declination is positive 23.5 degrees and ang kanyang right ascension should be not 12 hours, it should be 6 hours. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, pag winter, pag winter naman, when we are speaking of winter, ang declination natin would be negative 23.5 degrees while our right ascension will be 18 hours. Okay? Will be 18 hours. Okay? Do you follow? So, dito summer, yes. Okay. So next, pag spring naman, pag spring class, ang declination natin will be 0 degrees, and our right ascension, ang right ascension natin would be 0 hours or 24 hours. It's either of the two. Ha? Kasi 24 hours is equals to 0 hours. Isang bagay lang yun. No? So, ang right ascension natin pag spring, it's either 0 hours or 24 hours. Isa lang yan. That is just one thing. And last, if we are speaking of winter, ay winter tuloy, if we are speaking of fall or yung tinatawag nating autumn, fall or autumn, no? Ang declination natin is also 0, no? Pero ang right ascension natin will be found in 12 hours. So keep that in mind. So we have the declination and right ascension during summer, during winter, during spring, and during fall. Okay? So I will show you how it works. So balik tayo dito. I think this is the best yeah. This is the best demonstration. Sige, Kelvin, kindly turn on your mic. I have questions sa'yo.
Yes, sir.
Okay, during summer, ano ang declination natin? During summer, ano sinabi ko kanina? Ano,
Positive 23.5.
okay, so ito, ganito yan na. Tignan mo yung picture na pinapakita mo sa screen. If you would observe, during summer, andito yung sun sa sky natin. What do you observe about the angle of the sun? What do you observe about the angle of the sun during summer? Kung andito yung sun natin during summer, anong angle niya? It's what? 23.5 degrees. That is why its declination is positive 23.5 degrees kasi nasan siya? Nasa north. Okay? Do you follow, Kelvin?
Yes, sir.
Now, after summer, Anong next na season after summer? Sige nga, anong next na?
Autumn, sir.
Autumn, correct. You are correct. No, it's actually autumn. So meaning dito yung sun during summer, ang right ascension niya is 6 hours. Now, as you move from summer to autumn, no, nagmo-move ka from 6 hours going to 12 hours dito. And what do you observe the angle of this location relative to the Earth? Ano napansin mo sa angle niya? May angle ka pa ba relative to the Earth in this location of the Sun?
No, sir.
Wala na. So that's why the declination will be 0 degrees. And this is found at at 12 hours right ascension. Now, after autumn, you will go to winter. And ano napansin mo sa angle ng winter? As you move from 12 hours to 18 hours, anong napansin mo sa angle? It becomes more what? From positive naging
Negative, sir.
negative. And this is actually negative 23.5 degrees. And after winter, babalik tayo sa spring sa 0 degrees here. And this is actually 0 hours or 24 hours. And that's how it works, no? Okay? Do we follow? Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Okay, sige, let's try. Sean, ay si Sean tuloy. Princess, ikaw naman na. Princess, Do you see the star? Yung red star? Okay. Can you determine the declination of this red star? Anong declination niya?
For positive
Positive
40,
40, correct. Anong right ascension niya?
4 hours.
Correct. It's actually 4 hours. Thank you. Sam Cruz. Let's take this star. Ito na lang pala. Let's take this star. Nakikita mo yung cursor ko? Sam? Sam? Samantha? Samantha Cruz? Oh,
Opo.
okay, na. Ito, nakita mo yung cursor ko? Where I am pointing?
Opo.
Sige nga, let's try. Medyo mahirap-hirap to example na to ha, pero it's answerable. Palagay mo anong declination nito?
Zero po.
Zero declination nito na. Sa mo na ko ay zero. This is what? Someone is racing, no? Sino yun? Okay, sige. Si Sean. Sean,
Positive 55, sir.
55 ba? I think parang mas up nga. Oo nga, yeah. Possible, yes. It's positive 55, yes. Pero hindi eh. It's much more further from 60. I think it's 50. Right in the middle. Kung di man middle, may butal na 51 or 52. So it's positive 50 or 51 degrees. 50 to 52 degrees if we are going to consider the absolute error. No? Now, anong right ascension niya?
5 hours, sir.
5 hours ba? Saan siya ano? Saan siya magfo-fall dito? In terms of right ascension.
21 hours, I think, sir.
Actually, yes. 21 ba? It's between what?
21 hours and 30 minutes, sir.
Yes, actually it's between 21 hour and 22 hours. So probably it's 21 hour and 30 minutes. So titignan nyo rin kung saan siya, anong nagpanggitna sa kanya. And since this is expressed in hours, yung decimal instead of using intermediate values, ang magiging intermediate values niya will be in minutes and seconds. You are actually correct. Thank you, Kelvin. Naintindihan? Or do you need more example? Kailangan pa ng mas marami example? Okay, actually, we will have an activity regarding that. Sinong, yes, someone is speaking. Sino nag, okay. Sige, another example. Let's take this one. Ito medyo easier. Okay. Let's take this star. Okay, anong declination and right ascension ng star na to? Jalen.
Ano,
Anong
20 degrees,
positive 20 degrees? What about right ascension, Ja?
1 hour,
1 hour and?
15 minutes,
Probably,
or
I think
30,
it's 20. Nasa
20.
20 to, yes. If you would
Sir.
consider error, sige, 1 hour and 15 minutes to 1 hour and 25 minutes kung may error tayo. We are not sure kasi we are not using a ruler. Pero kung may ruler yan, you should be as exact as possible. Okay, naintindihan? Do you
Yes
understand?
po.
Madali lang. Okay, the next system that we are going to discuss is what we call as the altitude and azimuth system. Yun nga lang, in this part, kakailanganin nyo class ng protractor. You will be needing protractor in this part to measure altitude and azimuth. So, magde-demonstrate na lang siguro muna ako how to do it, no? Paano natin identify yung altitude and azimuth as of the moment. Pero, I require, no, I hope na meron kayong mga protractors, no? And pencil, kasi medyo mahirap mag-measure ng altitude and azimuth. Okay. So, ito yung pagkakaiba. Kunyari, class, ito yung object sa sky. Ito yung observer nyo. What you are going to do to know the altitude and azimuth, you need to connect the observer to the object that you are trying to observe. So, if you would observe here, ito yung observer ko, kinonect ko dun sa object na ino-observe niya, which is this star. Now, if you would observe, yung angle na ma-form natin, again, yung angle na ma-form natin, no, dito, that shows how high the object in the sky, tawag doon is altitude. So when we are speaking of altitude, it is a coordinate that tells you how high the object in the sky. So ang gagawin nyo, class, using a protractor, you are going to measure the angle here. I-measure nyo yung angle here so that you can determine how high is the object from the sky, or you can determine its altitude. Tawag doon is altitude. Now, another coordinate is yung tinatawag nating azimuth. So, pag sinabi niyong azimuth, how far, no? How far is the object from the north? Again, medyo confusing tong part na to. Pag sinabi yung azimuth, you are referring to how far the object, or how far is the celestial object from north. And ang cue dito, you must always head east. Laging papunta sa east. Ay, sorry, that's wrong spelling. No? You must always head east. Kung titingnan nyo dito, so nag-draw ako ng point dito sa horizon kung nasaan yung object. So if you would observe, I connect a line from my object towards the horizon. Then, trinace ko gaano kalayo yung north from my object, pero in-ensure ko na it is passing through east. Dadaan dapat siya through east. For example, kunyari ito yung east. So I'm heading towards east here. So from north, I'm going towards east. So dito, I look at the distance of the object from the north, no? From the north, I look at the distance of the object from the north. And aside from that, I consider the direction it must be heading towards east. Pag nakuha ko itong angle na to, it's now the time to measure the angle here using a protractor. No? May-measure ko yung angle na to using a protractor, and that angle is what you call as the azimuth, or yung tinutukoy natin as the distance or the angular distance from the north. You are looking at the angular distance from the north. Yun yung tinatawag nating class na azimuth. Okay? Do you follow? Let's try, no? Mas maganda to kung may protractor kayo, pero let's just make an intuition muna. Since wala pa tayong protractor, let's try to answer one of the activity in your module. Ayan. Okay, let's try this one. Okay, this is from your module. Sige nga, identify natin sino tong mga star na to with the given altitude and azimuth. O, isa-isa. From sa ilalim ako magsisimula. O, sige, let's start with Sean. Altitude niya raw 80, tapos azimuth niya 330 degrees. Sino kaya yun? Is it star A, B, C, D, or E? Tandaan nyo pag sinabing azimuth, you are looking at the distance or the angular distance of the object, no, of the object from the north, where you must pass east. Ang technique dito is you would locate the point in the horizon, no? You're going to look at the point at the horizon kung saan magmi-meet yung location ng object sa sky sa horizon ninyo. Okay, that's the technique there. For example, ito, tignan nyo, if you would trace towards the horizon, dito siya magfo-fall. So now you are going to look, no, sa distance ng point na to from the north, and it must pass east. So I would connect this one, no, passing east from the north. So you will get this one. And ang gagawin nyo, you need to get the angle of this one. You need to get the angle. Hindi nyo nakikita yung tinuturo ko. What about the others? Nakikita nyo yung dinidiscuss ko? Hindi nakikita, Sam. Refresh ka, Sam. Aha. Sige, let me repeat. No cursor. Sorry. Kasi nasa ano pala ako. Nasa meet ako Ayan, nakikita nyo na? Nakikita nyo, class? Nakikita nyo? Nakikita nyo, yes or no? Okay, saan ako nawala? Saan kayo nawala? Anong part? Anong part kayo nawala?
Pinakauna.
Saan pinakauna? What do you mean pinakauna? Where did you get lost? Yung sa azimuth, no? So ito, for example, this is star A, no? So since confusing yung azimuth, I'm just discussing how you get the azimuth. So tulad ng sabi ko, ang gagawin nyo lang sa azimuth is that you are going to look at the location of this object, no? And you are going to look at the distance of this object coming from the north, then dapat dadaan kayo through east. Or you are heading the direction of the east. Now, the technique that you are going to use is that para mas madali niyong malaman yung azimuth, you need to identify the point. You need to identify the point where this object hits the horizon. Ayan, if you would observe, this object would hit the horizon at this point. Tingin ko the object would hit the horizon at this point. So, pag inalam niyo yung distance ng north towards this point where it must head towards the direction of the east, eastward dapat yung pag-rotate ng angle nyo, no? So, yung distance or yung angular distance nito, tawag doon ay azimuth. Okay, for this example, let's try, no? Let's try to assume, no, in this point. So, obviously, north to east would be 90 degrees, no? North to east would be 90 degrees, east to south would be another 90, so 90 plus 90 is 180. And let us assume this is 60 degrees siguro, presumably. This is 60 or 30 or 45, either of the three. Let's use 45 kasi parang sa gitnahin natin. So this is 90 degrees, 90, another 90, 180, 180 plus 45, that would be nasa 235 degrees, no? Parang dun siya magfo-fall, 235, and in this case, 245 degrees pala. So meaning hindi 45 degrees ang ginamit niya, it's 55 degrees. And you could confirm that using a protractor. Yun nga lang kasi nag-a-assume tayo, wala tayong gamit na protractor. So it's just an assumption at this point. Okay? Nakuha. So technically, yun yung azimuth niya at this point. And obviously, the altitude would be at 70 degrees. If you would connect this one to the observer in the middle. Pag sinukat mo yung angle, siguro that would be 70 degrees and that would be your altitude. Okay, sige, let's try. I will give you time to think. Sige, I'm giving you 2 minutes. Okay, ginawa ko lang, Sam, inalam ko, di ba ito yung object na inobserve ko, si object A, inalam ko saan magfo-fall sa horizon yung object na to, where it would meet the horizon and it meets at this point. Now, kinonect ko kasi pag sa may azimuth, you are speaking of the distance from the north, no? From the north to the object. So, kinonect ko lang yung north towards this object, pero it must head. Dapat papunta siya ng east. So, technically, hindi ako pwedeng paganito. Dapat ang direction ko is towards east. So, if I would connect north towards that point, ayan, mako-connect ko to, and alamin natin yung angle niya, mas maganda kung may protractor, pero as of now, we will just assume, so north to east is 90 degrees, north to east is 90 degrees, east to south is another 90, so 90 plus 90, 180, then inassume ko kanina that this is 45, pero in reality, 55 pala yung measurement niya. So dito, 90, 180 plus 55, that would be 245 degrees. So probably, this is star A. Ang altitude niya would be 70. Ito, pag kinonect natin observer, no, towards the object, that would be 70 degrees pag sinukat using protractor, and yung azimuth niya would be 245 degrees. So that would be star A. Again, that would be star. Okay, do you understand? Naintindihan, class? Kindly answer me please. Hindi ako manghuhula. Naintindihan ba?
Yes po.
Okay, so I'm giving you 1 minute, ay 1 minute tuloy na, 2 minutes to think, no? Then let's try to identify sino yung mga star na yan. How does communication take place? Who are involved in the communication process? And what processes are considered? By understanding the communication process, you can also truly avoid misunderstanding or miscommunication. Study the picture class. Okay, sige, let's start. Si Sean kasi may sagot na. Okay, according si Sean, star D sino? Star D would number one would be star D. 80 degrees, 330 degrees. So dito raw nag-fall kay star D. Okay. What about this one? 45 degrees altitude, 135 degrees azimuth. Sino yan? Jalen. Jalen.
Letter B star.
Letter B ba? Let's check.
Yes.
Okay, correct. Okay, what about 25 degrees altitude, 50 degrees azimuth. Parang obviously what's left? That's
C.
star C. That is it. No? So did you understand the altitude azimuth system?